all the birds.
Yeah, it was so nice. The birds flies out. And we can see actually when we try to please Srila Prabhupada and our Gurudev, our life is actually getting easier to do. Devotional service are easier to perform when we please. There's not that obstacle of I want to help, I want to help. You know, as soon as we start to please, then these things are taken away. The self fly also like a bird, yeah?
That's very simple and natural, yes.
Right?
It's very, like Prabhu said, it's very simple and natural.
Yeah.
Like it's just a personal exchange, basically. We have experience, but it's just with the Lord, and it's with the idea that the Lord is the enjoyer of our activities. So we are persons, we are exchanged with each other, but then it's just to understand that the Lord's unique position and our position in relation to Him. And when that is done, it's a very simple and natural thing, but that's the struggle to get that idea fixed in our consciousness. That make our identity, that we are supposed always to have this consciousness. Not just the Mangalarti when we're standing with the incense, because that's only 20 minutes. Then what about the other hours? What about the rest of the day? So I actually had one desire: if the Mangalarti could just extend for the whole day, there'd be no problem. But we have the mode of passion coming in. We have the mode of ignorance. You know, it gets more difficult. Let's say we have to struggle. When that's early morning hours, that's past, then it's the fight. It's a fight to stay Krishna conscious. So that means that we have to be really like spiritual warriors, like as our Swamis they say, you have to be determined to stay Krishna conscious, throughout the whole day. That's the fight. Don't you have your...
Yeah, I don't know if this is a question, but when I do service, I should be content with pleasing Krishna. But when I chant, I have the understanding that I shall try to cry for Krishna. And when I cry, I am not satisfied or I'm not content. So I don't know.
Thank you, that's a very, very nice. Actually, why is it said that we should cry for Krishna, like a child crying for his mother? Well, that is to provoke the attention of the Lord. When you provoke the Lord's attention, then you actually get the Shraddha that He's actually there. So you cry, so the mother comes, and when you see the mother, then you know she's there. And just by having connection there, then the relationship starts to develop. But the problem is that we might not have the fully digested that Krishna is actually there. That Krishna is alert and aware of us, and that He's all-pervading, that He's able at a fraction of an instant to be there, personally dealing with us, if He wants to. So that's why we're trying to cry, so that He will put His attention towards us. But because He's now given us this material world as a playground, and as long as we're happy playing here, He won't disturb us. He will allow us to go on. But that's why if we just cry sincerely, then you have to put your attention to me. I don't want these material toys, like Prabhu is saying. I'm fed up. It doesn't work for me. You have to somehow reveal yourself. So that's the crying is there for that purpose. And then there's actually the chanting. You can go so deep in the chanting, but we have the whole process. Like we have the Bhagavad Vidhi and Pancharatika Vidhi. And the Pancharatika Vidhi, the process of deity worship, that is to establish and deepen your relationship with Krishna. So when we have learned, if we qualify ourselves in that way, just take the process as Srila Prabhupada has given us. Then the chanting can really go very, very deep. It goes on beyond. It can take you beyond just crying for Krishna, just to be there, to actually to meditate and serve Krishna, like in the highest levels of devotional service. We hear that the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were directly serving the Lord, like by the meditation. They were directly in the service. So we're actually being trained for the same thing. That's the whole point of the Panchavatika Vidhi, that you train, that you serve the deity form, that you serve Krishna in the deity form, you establish that service, and that while you chant, while you meditate, that actually can be something that can be practiced, can actually be practiced for prolonged periods of your day. Like that can take up your whole, that can actually fill your whole day, just meditating, serving the Lord. But we have to learn that art. That is not something that comes by itself. You cannot expect that to fall into your lap. No, that you have to follow the process. How to get to that point. We should understand that that's available, and we should see the process to get there, and then we should be determined to follow the process. Otherwise, we're not preparing ourselves. We don't have the sufficient interest in the process or in the goal to actually get it. So then, who to blame? Who is to blame? It's ourselves. So we have to know this. We have to understand what's the goal and what's the process, and then engage ourselves properly. Then we'll get it. Otherwise, what guarantee is there that we get anything at all?
Yes. Because it's also said in the acts of devotion that we are not allowed to cry in front of the deities, and the holy name is a deity. And then we hear that we should cry for them.
That's the way, that's the essence of the crying. That's the way the child cries with melody. Because we don't out loud, with tears in your eyes. That's not necessarily what it means, what it meant. Like it's inside, this urgency inside. Because there's chanting inside the heart, there's a feeling in the heart that you can have this sense of crying, this attitude of crying internally. It's not something that needs to be manifested externally. It's more like an internal thing, which you call to. That's why we can sit like 10 devotees together in the temple, and also everybody cry without nobody disturbing each other. So actually, it's an internal thing, but it should definitely be practiced. And you feel there's such a difference when you cultivate this mood in your chanting. Whether you're just chanting to get the rounds finished. Sometimes Hare Krishna, Krishna, and looking at about 16 are all finished. But there was no crying there. There was just getting the rounds done. And that is not crying out. When we practice this crying, we see there's such a difference in our chanting. There's such a different sensation of Krishna being there in the chanting if we actually get into this mood and cultivate it. So actually we should try for it. We should try to have it. It should be there. We should be established in this. We should know this mood and try to, because that's the sense of urgency. That's the sense of urgency we call it, to attain Krishna. And that is required for Krishna. He wants to see that urgency. Otherwise, there's so many. They don't have an urgent need. So many souls, they don't have an urgent need to be in Krishna. That's why he has the material world. If you don't want me, if you want something else, you can be here. No, Maya has fully engaged us, and she can keep on engaging us for time immemorial. She can just go on. So there's no. For Krishna, it's okay. Of course, it's not okay because he wants us back. But if we don't come to the point, then we can go on. Okay, I think last comment. Last is a short one. Of the whole.
A spiritual master told me when he saw Srila Prabhupada once in the temple room, and they opened the door for the deities, the kirtan. So Srila Prabhupada, he had tears shooting out of his eyes like this, after a couple of meters, shooting out. And then, wow, what is this? I've never seen anything like that. So it is not wrong to cry physically.
No, not if it's done.
It's genuine. Of course, we
artificially trying to force tears in the eyes is not really.
Yeah.
It might give us some mental. It might give us more trouble than advancement. So
sometimes devotees cry, and they out of pity for themselves, and they think there is an advanced stage.
So that we also analyze.
Your feeling is genuine, you're hankering after giving Krishna pleasure. So
Yeah,
you
that's actually very deep, actually, but that requires some also. But actually, there's different types. We cry that we're suffering here in the material world. That's also one crying that will affect the Krishna's attention. But if we sincere to actually come to the point of solving our problems, actually coming to taking up, accepting Him as an ultimate worshipful Lord, we may cry that we're suffering here in the material world. That's also how we can cry. But if the Lord sees that we're actually not really to surrender, we just want the quick fix, and then we can go on enjoying. If it's that type of crying, then no, Krishna, he will not give Himself. So it's actually, so we can cry sometimes, feel like crying because we're suffering. But that crying has to be deeper. It has to be like crying to have a relationship with the Lord. It has to be crying for a relationship, to re-establish that type of crying. To want to have exchange with the Lord, to want to know the Lord.
Yeah.
Are
we crying after having our internal problems resolved? Please Krishna, please Jesus, give us our daily bread because we're going hungry.
That's not the that's what the daily cry is, come feed me.
Prabhupada said, what is this daily? We're praying every day, please give us our daily bread. This is not love of God, this is love of bread.
That is correct. So on that note, we will end. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada.